Avenue and West 5th and Walnut Streets in Paradise at 6626 Clark Road, and in Oroville inside the Big Lots Shopping Center on Oro Dam Boulevard. Well, hey everyone, how's it going? This is Riding on Air, and I am your host, Kevin, and I'm here with my guest host, co-host, I should say, Brandon. Say hi.
Hello, wonderful to be back.
Yeah, got the right mic, thank goodness. Last time we'd had some issues with that. Yeah, so I think most people kind of know you by now. I mean, you've been here.
Yeah, what, past three shows?
Yeah, the past 3 shows, and then you did some guest appearances, had some submissions and stuff.
Yeah.
You're a star already.
No.
That's how it's going. I'm going to keep saying it. You're going to keep denying it. I'm going to keep saying it until it's true, because it is true, Brandon. Well, this is Riding on Air, and for those of you who don't know, this is a show that I created for specifically for writers. So this is a platform where they can submit stories, short stories, poems, flash fiction, most genres that can fit within a 30-minute time period, and get them heard, get them told. I feel there's not enough outlets for creative writers, at least that I know of on radio, besides some NPR stuff that I've heard of. And I mean, what better place to do it than KZFR? This is such a cool place. Yeah, so that's kind of what we do. We're the picture frame, and then the people who submit to us are the pictures. Basically, we give them a space.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. Please submit.
Yes, please
at
submit.
write.onair@gmail.com. That's WRITE.onair@gmail.com. We would love to get more submissions. We love hearing from you guys. You know, like Kevin said, we're a picture frame, and we want you to paint us a picture.
Yes, yeah. You guys do all the stuff here, and we just kind of, give you the space. So I guess we'll get right into it. I think this first piece is by, let me lean over and grab this from you. This is by Hannah. It's called The Last Dance, and she's a friend of mine. She submitted a few pieces. I think she had pieces in the last show, remember correctly, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Actually, before we could do that, we're every other week, just so you know, 7 o'clock to 7:30.
Yes, every other Wednesday.
Yeah, I should have a designated intro someday. Maybe I'll work on that at some point. Yeah, so this is going to be The Last Dance by Hannah.
A feather dances gently through the steps. Every current of cool air caresses its soft edges. Together they sway and spin, every move in complete harmony. The rustling leaves sing out the perfect tune. Slowly the rhythm begins to pick up. The once tantalizing twirls are now exhilarating spins. With a start, all blissful movements suddenly cease. The delicate feather softly floats down, landing noiselessly on the hard ground. Unable to move, it lays there silently, waiting, wondering, was that the last dance?
Last Dance by Hannah.
Yeah.
Oh, I get a really I guess the word would be wistful feeling when I listen to that.
Wistful or almost mournful?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're watching this beautiful thing come to an end, and you're wondering if you'll ever have the chance to see it or experience it again.
Yeah, and how fleeting that is. A feather dances, gently led through the steps. Every current of cool air caresses its soft edges. I get the feeling, obviously it's a feather being pushed and pulled by these currents, how delicate the situation is.
Yeah.
That's a really good description right there. I've said before that certain words kind of carry like an aura with them. Feather is one of those that you think of a very delicate, soft, usually the first thing that comes to my mind, at least when I hear that, is like a down pillow of some sort. Just very soft, very gentle.
Yeah, we all sort of have this hyperbolic characterization of certain words. Like, if you've ever played with a feather, they're actually fairly stiff, but when you think about one, it's this gentle, very fragile thing.
Yeah. And there's I like the duality that's going on there. So every current of cool air caresses its soft edges. Together, they sway and spin. There's a dynamic there that it feels like they're intrinsically tied together.
Yeah,
somehow.
no one can dance alone, sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah. Once tantalizing twirls are now exhilarating spins with a start, all blissful movements suddenly cease. That's the turning point of this entire piece.
Yes.
There seems to be, as well as, let me back up here, cool air caresses. So we get this very light, soft breath at the start of this. Like there's air, there's movement. And the second part, suddenly cease, the delicate feather softly floats down. It isn't like an instantaneous end, it's just like a...
Well, there's a progression. The piece starts with this feather moving down, slowly kind of being guided, and then it suddenly picks up. The rhythm of this dance picks up, and it starts to move erratically and quickly and all that. And then as it gets closer to the ground, if you've ever had a down pillow leak or something, you've seen it, where there really isn't air or anything, and you just drop it and it just slowly falls and floats down.
I like to the very end. Unable to move, it lays there silently, waiting, wondering, was that the last dance? Oh, man.
It also almost has the old peaking style of a story. You start with this rising climax, you hit this peak of this exhilaration, this turning point at which you're at the height, and then you slowly fall.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has three distinct parts. Beginning, there's something being gently led through the steps. There's a progression, like you're saying, and then right in the middle, the once tantalizing twirls are now exhilarating spins. With a start, all blissful movements suddenly cease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it kind of obviously floats back down. I get so many cool visuals, and like it evokes a lot of senses. I'll say.
To me, growing up in a small mountain town in the middle of a forest, this just reminds me of fall, watching leaves dance and in the wind, and you'd always see like bird feathers and that, and mixed in with it.
Yeah, rustling leaves sing out the perfect tune. Oh man, that is a good piece. Well, that was The Last Dance by Hannah. And actually, she's monopolizing the night tonight because I think she has another one. I don't know if she had a title on that.
No, this one appears to be untitled.
Yeah, let me check if there's any notes I had on there. Yeah, I don't believe so. No title. I'll have to start getting on her. That way we can refer to these pieces.
Well, actually, for Hannah's work, because she has submitted several in the past, I was surprised to see a title on that piece because she normally does submit untitled work.
This is true, yeah. I'll have to ask her at some point. Well, actually, we should just get her on the show. That makes more sense.
Well, we've had her on. You've had her on, what, twice before?
I think so.
Once with me, and I think you've had her as a co-host on 1 week since then.
Which is a great time to plug that if you are a writer and you are submitting.
Come on.
Yes, that is totally, we can make that happen. You can come hang out.
Yes, if you are in the Chico area, when you submit at write.onair@gmail.com, feel free and let Kevin know that you would like to come and read your piece and discuss it, because you've heard us just on this first piece in the past few weeks talk about what we're pulling out of these, but it's always fun to hear what the author intended and what they were really trying to convey.
Yeah, it's a two-way street for us. We can hear, we can absorb ourselves, but sometimes hearing the source is just phenomenal. So this is Hannah's piece, and it's untitled. And here we go.
I should have used you as a warning sign to look in the mirror and admit my faults. After all, I am the fool who took the fall. The clock strikes on the hour, signaling the beginning of a new end, as I wish my heart of gold begin to rest. As I watch my heart of gold begin to rest.
Oh man, that's a good piece. It's very short, very, very short. Those ones hold like, when I see short pieces like this, that this one kind of feels like As I watch my heart of gold begin to rust. I should have used you as a warning sign to look in the mirror and admit my faults. There's obviously, it seems, two people that is being discussed here after maybe some event that has happened. I don't know if it's necessarily a love piece. It kind of feels like it, though. I am the fool who took the fall.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it could be a love piece. I think it's almost sounds like a tragedy.
Yeah.
Because the clock strikes on the hour and signals a new end. This is some new tragedy of some kind, whether it's a breakup, whether it's just some major issue that's come up in life.
Yeah.
Something big has happened, and it's in their mind has signaled a new end.
Yeah.
Some new great tragedy in their life.
There's such a good trying to think the word for it. I guess linkage maybe or consistency, signaling the beginning of a new end. So it's the start of something that's finishing, basically. Like there's like something in the horizon almost that you're seeing, like this is coming, basically. And then the next line, the last line, as I watch my heart of gold begin to rust, there's the same consistency of there's this new, fresh thing, but it's now decaying. It's now disappearing. It's disintegrating. To look in the mirror and admit my faults. Man, it's definitely a self-reflective poem, I think.
Yeah.
I should have used you as a warning sign. Yeah, there's some event there going on with maybe someone else. Whew. I like that piece a lot.
Yeah. It's short, but there's a lot being said there.
There's a poem that I had in high school that I'll always refer to because if my teacher's listening, I'm sure she'll call and correct me on something. But I think it was called "The Red Wheelbarrow," and that poem is. Hold on, let me get the story. He was in the same high school as me, so he understands where I'm coming from.
Well, this is a very famous poem.
Incredibly famous poem. Unfortunately, I can't remember who wrote that.
I believe it was a California poet.
Yeah. Oh no!
I can't remember
if my
his name.
teacher's listening, she's going to kill me. I'm on Writing on Air, and I can't think of the person I'm referencing. Anyways, the whole piece is 16 words, if I remember correctly. And I remember that was the first time I'd ever kind of delved into reading into a poem, reading into what it means, and looking at it from something so tiny.
And there have been so many people who have reviewed The Red Wheelbarrow and written 10, 15,
20 pages.
More.
Ridiculous. Off of 16 words. So when I see pieces like this, sometimes the way I view them is like a window, I guess, where the piece is small. It's like a kind of like a porthole almost. But the closer you get, the more kind of you recognize there's another world back behind it. And sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes it's very upfront. But a lot of times with poetry and stuff, that's what it feels like. There's just so much behind it.
I've always thought of that old adage of pictures worth 1,000 words. If you can paint a picture in 16 words or somewhere thereabouts, people can write volumes and see a lot of different things in that one picture.
Yeah. I think if we get some more of Hannah actually having ideas of what we could do for the next shows, this is probably a bad time to have these ideas, but...
Well, let's discuss these later. Don't make promises on air you can't keep.
That's true. Then you guys can hold me accountable, and that's a terrifying thing. So this last piece is actually by me. This one's called Fine Tuning. So I guess the author is here for this one.
Great. I can grill you.
I mean, just kidding. This is by another person who I don't know, never heard of. So this piece is called Fine Tuning by me. What instrument do you like? I will make a tune, one just for my friend, for you. Whatever you want to hear, I can change to, according to what you want, the music or me. Always I play, fiddling with the basics, while my fingers bleed and I cry, no tune but yours. Another, I agree, and I strike the chord just like you. The song ended, but still I try to play, fiddling with your basics, but never fine-tuning like you. Until silence drips from my fingers and beats into me a pulse. Fiddling with your basics and hollowing to echo left me an instrument. But now, I play a fine tune that makes my fingers drip, a beat I made to resonate for me and you. That's fine tuning
Mm-hmm.
by yours truly. Go ahead, Brandon. What do you got?
Yeah, that's...
He's smiling maniacally here.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm smiling after we're off air.
Oh no, that's a terrifying thing.
That's a talk you and I can have alone. And this is, to me, sort of like kind of trying to find yourself, you know? Struggling with something you enjoy but you aren't necessarily good at. Trying to work yourself to the bone to get better. You know, your fingers bleeding, you know, it doesn't have to be with music, as this is alluding to, or maybe true. It's trying to improve yourself by repetition, by practice. Practice makes perfect people, and it's not a lie. That guy you saw that's amazing at skateboarding, that can play guitar like nobody else, guess what? They sucked at one point, and they practiced very hard and very long.
Yeah, that's true. Anything else? I have stuff I could say on it because obviously I wrote it,
Yeah.
so I'm giving Brandon the impression here.
Let's hear from you. Let's hear from the author.
Well, I just kind of put some words on a piece of paper, and that was it. Just called it. Didn't have to work at all. No problems. Nothing. No, actually, I had a segment. I don't know if you were here on this one or not, Brandon, a while back on how and why people write, because I wanted people to kind of join.
I listened to it. I wasn't on the show, but yeah.
And one of the things I think I said, maybe someone can check me on this, or I wanted to say at least, was sometimes it takes a long time to write a piece.
Yes.
Even just a piece as short as this. I think this piece took me probably about 2 months of basically having one line written on there and just staring at it for hours. Not really write anything. I'd write a couple sentences and then I'd go back and get rid of it. But no, you're pretty on the nail on the head. This came from a place where I felt like I was following everyone else in my life, making tunes and playing what people had been playing before, and, you know, not really going in any direction myself. And that was a frustration for me. But what I realized, too, is that the things that I had been doing, just playing songs with other people, had given me skills. I had learned things I had developed, and it was pretty nice to recognize that. And actually, I think as this piece developed, which is another thing about writing, sometimes when you write it yourself, you kind of discover things as you go along with it. And I realized that I have the skills to do, you know, to do life, really, that I'd learned from friends and from people close to me that I had copied. So I wasn't really copying. I was just kind of developing and learning. And that was a nice thing for me. So at the end there, I play a fine tune that makes my fingers drip, a beat I made to resonate for me and you. And that was kind of the finality of it. So yeah, that's I guess where I was coming from when I wrote that.
Yeah. It's a very nice piece. I will say that.
Yeah, thank you. I think I might have aired it once before or not, but
that's what I was going to discuss with you after the show, because yeah, you aired that before.
Oh, I did.
Under someone else's name, because I think you were trying to be anonymous.
I think I might have been, yeah. Well, I'm just giving it.
So now you know Kevin's secret. If you go back and you listen to that, and you check the name that's on that piece, you can find the other things he's written.
I have to change my pseudonym. Pseudonym? That's right. I'll have to change that up now. Oh, no.
You brought it up. I was going to discuss that with you after.
Yep. I've ruined my secret now. Everyone knows. Yeah, there's another part in here, too, because it's my piece, and I'm going to talk about it. Until silence drips from my fingers. I like the imagery that is coming from it. I guess... Well,
yeah, you allude to some really sharp imagery where you're coming through all the way at the end. I like that because you said you had learned from yourself and from your friends, and you learned to kind of have your own outlook in life and what you're trying to do. How, let's see. A fine tune that makes my fingers drip, a beat that resonates for me and you.
Right.
You kind of made this harmonious aspect to life out of what you and your friends had come up with.
Yeah. Well, there's my ego trip for tonight. So usually at the end of these segments, we like to, I guess the term for music is recapitulate, where all the themes kind of come back together and you can relook at them and they're combined. And sometimes the pieces fit together really well, sometimes they don't and they stand alone, or sometimes there's themes. But what do we got?
I think tonight each of these pieces kind of stands very much on their own.
Yeah, we have The Last Dance, which was kind of like a breath about something that was questioning if there was an end, basically.
Yeah, is there an end, or will there be another breeze that will pick that feather up and let it dance one more time?
Yeah, and that could relate to relationships. It could relate to just job. It could any aspect of life really where there's an ebb and flow of the life that's there. It can relate to. And there's a second one, which, how do we describe this?
The best way I can look at it is tragedy. That's entirely what that piece is. Something is coming to an end, and it feels like it is the end.
Yeah.
You know, your heart is going to rest away.
My heart of gold begins to rest.
Which is actually fairly significant because gold doesn't rest.
Yeah. So we're talking about a change of like an alchemy almost. Changing to a different metal. It's completely changing the totality of it. So we see The Last Dance, and then this one where there's a rustic thing, and then I guess in fine tuning could say a development of character.
Yeah.
Maybe, if I had to say so myself. But also maybe even, I guess, just a look at a life, like how things have developed throughout a life and where they are at that point. Mm-hmm. One thing I like about writing too is you can generally go back. For me, I have pieces that I've written when I was really little, and it's nice going back and looking at them and seeing where I was. They kind of feel like little checkpoints for me.
Oh, I just find them disappointing in myself.
Disappointing yourself. Well, that's where Brandon's root comes from. That's his strength. But no, yeah, that's even an aspect too. Writing is such a it's like an impression of the soul sometimes at that time. It's a disappointment that can draw forth or anything else really, but there's just so much stuff for it. Yeah. I'd say that's it, but we got plenty of time left.
Yeah,
we go over one of these again.
We've got a few minutes.
Yeah.
We've got a few minutes.
So let me look at this first one again.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in there in The Last Dance, because it has that. Generally, for an actual story, you learn later in life that whole 3-arc structure is actually bad for most stories, but it also is simple enough and brief enough that it works really well in short poem structures very well, because you can get the entirety of essentially a life in a very short work using that structure. Because we have this rise, we have this sort of peak and this fall. And the brilliant part about the end of the story is that you question whether or not there will be another rise.
Right, yeah, as if they're going to go. I like to, if I had to put a pin on it, there's a line in here that says, every move in complete harmony. Together they sway and spin. So there seems to be like a music going on in the background, whether it's like a breath or just like the movement there is denoting music. And I like that because that's kind of what fine tuning was going on. I mean, fine tuning like an instrument, basically. Yeah. I like that there is no music or beat or rhythm in either one of these, yet it's referenced as one of the key components of each piece. Mm-hmm. is having this background. Slowly rhythm begins to pick up. There's something there, and what's nice about it is it leaves it open enough for the person to put on their own music to it, basically. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing we've talked about is kind of the is it impressionability? What would be the word for that?
How, unless you are very, very explicit, every piece can become very personal to a reader because they can attribute their own experience, their own ideas. When I say a piece of candy, that's different for you, that's different for me, because you will think of what's familiar and comfortable and what you remember.
Yeah, what comes to mind. Yeah, I love that about writing. You can be as explicit as you want, and you get these like fine, really crystalline details, or you still get those details, but they're unique to you, depending on how you write it. So it's a really brilliant thing. I guess I guess we'll start wrapping up. I mean, thank you guys for submitting. Me, I guess, because I submitted one, and Hannah too. Hopefully, I think I'll have to petition her for some more because I really like her pieces a lot. Yeah.
But please, the rest of you, please
Do submit.
work. Please. Write.onair@gmail.com. Yes, I'm going to plug this until the end of time.
Yep.
WRITE.onair@gmail.com. Please submit your pieces. We'd love to read them. We'd love to discuss them. If you'd like to rate yourself but you can't make it to the studio, you can record it at home and send us the recording. And as long as you follow the general guidelines, pretty much no profanity is one of the big things. And if you do have profanity in a story, as long as you're willing to let us remove that, we can still air your piece.
Yep. Yeah.
So please submit. If you're in the Chico area, please come in.
Yeah.
Let's talk to you here.
And
you can come into the studio.
I even had friends submit from Japan before.
Yes.
So you're not even in the Chico area. If you can submit anywhere, but if you want to come in, probably locally is the best for that, unless you're willing to make a long trip.
Yeah. Well, actually, we can do call-ins.
Oh, that is true.
Yes.
That is true.
We could you could call in if you'd like to discuss your piece on the air.
So for our Japanese listeners, please call in.
I think it would be really weird timing for them. I think I can't remember what the time scale is for that.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. Yeah, so I just want to let everyone know this is Writing on Air, and it's a space for writers to submit their pieces to get their work heard. As I said in the beginning here, I wanted to create a picture frame, and then you guys get to put whatever you want in it and give you guys a space to talk about. We don't critique works. We don't rate them, nothing like that. We just discuss them. That's the whole point. I didn't want any hierarchy, anyone trying to
There is no judgment here. There's only acceptance and a great love of work.
Yeah, that's another one. I think the appreciation on my part is what I really enjoy about this show. So yeah, this is Writing on Air, and please don't forget to submit. We have a Facebook page. Again, that's
rights.onair@gmail.com.
Yeah. So I guess everyone have a good night, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Right on Air is made possible by the generous contributions of KZFR supporters and by Harrison Daily Wright Accountancy Corporation in Chico. Harrison Daily Wright provides certified public accountants specializing in accounting and bookkeeping services, auditing, tax prep and planning, management support, services for nonprofit organizations, and more. To reach Harrison Daily Wright, call 895-1209. Have a good night, everyone.